Hey everyone, thanks for listening to Limited Engagement. I'm your host for the show, Jared Duran, and this is LE102 for real this time. I seem to recall, having called the previous one LE102, although I did correct myself and say it was 101. But this is most assuredly 102, and my guest for the episode is Becky Bartkowski, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Excuse me. My voice is kind of going. I just have gotten back from the Desert Nights Rising Stars Literary Fair, where I've been talking to people about Hoot and Waddle all day, and it was very fucking cold. And you know what? Some of you in some parts of the country or world are probably saying, yeah, it's Arizona. It's cold for Arizona. It was fucking cold. It was 30-something degrees. It was actually freezing, technically speaking. So it was cold. Anyway, it was a great time. Met a lot of great people. Sold a lot of books. Sold a lot of our new book, Post Traumatic. Little plug for that. If you haven't ordered it yet, it is available from hootandwaddle.com. We also set up a shop on the Hoot and Waddle Facebook page. It's Post Traumatic by Ron Ricci. Wonderful book. Sold quite a bit of it because it's a wonderful book. Plug over. Anyway, it was the first year of that fair. It was very enjoyable. Talked to some great people. So if you're actually listening to this show as a result of meeting myself and Janelle at Desert Nights Rising Stars, what did I just say? Desert Nights Rising Stars. I think I said the wrong thing. It's been a long day. Anyway, if you're listening to this show because of that, welcome. And of course, please subscribe and, and whatever platform you listen to us on, and leave a rating and a review. I've noticed those numbers going up, so very appreciative to whomever has done that. But because you're just leaving a rating and not a review, I can't thank you by name. So if you want to be thanked by name, please leave a review along with your rating. But regardless, very appreciative if you would do that, and if you have done it. You may have noticed that last week there was no blarg, and there's not going to be one this week. Something has to give at some point, and I've just got too much on my plate right now. I've enjoyed doing the blarg. I might return to it at some point. There are quite a few for people to go back and read if they haven't yet. Just link to it from the limited engagement page, which is ltdengagementpod.com. And you can get to it directly from there. But it's a WordPress page. It's ltdengagementpod.wordpress.com, I think is what it is. I can tell you for sure, quite frankly, what it is. But I am correct. It is ltdengagementpod.wordpress.com. And you can check all of those old ones out. And like I said, I might come back to it, but it is it's just one of those things where I can't have the stress of doing that hanging over me, along with all of the other things that I have to take care of. So if you're interested in my sparkling wit that gets put out there in the blog, I almost said blog, but I tried to correct it at the end, so it sounded like blog. Did I mention I was tired and that it had been a long day, although it was a lot of fun? Anyway, if you're interested in that writing, it continues over with the Hoot and Waddle newsletter, which you can sign up for at hootandwaddle.com, which goes out every week. And that's where I need to concentrate my time for that sort of thing at the moment. And let's see, what else did I have to say at the top of the show? I'm going to keep it pretty limited because, that's part of the title. No, that was not intentional. But because my voice is going. So, also, I wanted to give a brief shout out. They didn't ask for it It wasn't solicited or anything like that. It's just completely off the cuff. I started listening to this show called The Vocal Fries. It's produced by Chris Ayres, who's been on this show, and Album Infinitum, which I also do. And he's part of the Phoenix Film Collective, and his design company has been a sponsor of this show. Completely unsolicited, not paid for plug, but his wife is one of the hosts of The Vocal Fries, and just started listening to it. Only heard the first episode and a half, but I am really enjoying the hell out of that podcast. So if you want a recommendation for a podcast that is not hosted by me, check that one out. It's pretty good. But let's get into the guest today. The guest for 2 days. The guest on this episode that you're about to hear. Jesus Christ. It's not Jesus Christ. It's Becky Bartkowski. And I feel like this conversation has been a long time coming. I have, on a number of occasions, featured her husband, Jason Woodbury, on the show, and I've gotten to talk to him a lot and become friends with him, and really enjoyed back and forth with opinions on music and Springsteen in particular. And anyway, that aside, I have on occasion bumped into his wife where he was, and never really talked to Becky other than, hey, how's it going? You know, that sort of thing. And I know that Becky has participated in Barflies, which is a program I still need to get out to see that I haven't done yet. And that she had, that I have friends who have written for the New Times who spoke highly of her as an editor there. And just very omnipresent in the circles of people that I have talked to on this show. And I'm like, okay, time to go to the source, time to talk to Becky. So we worked it out. And it was a really fun conversation that I made a terrible mistake of saying something about her being a music rep and for Sony in the 90s, because that's what it sounded like the heyday of the job she was discussing to me. But I feel like I recovered pretty well from that. I'll give myself a little bit of a pat on the back, but you'll hear that when it comes to it. And she's currently, or she just was promoted to, the features director for the Arizona Republic, which is a pretty big deal. She's over there with the AZ Central Machine now, and doing great work there. And she's also one half of the duo with Katie Johnson, Katie Johnson. Forgive me. You should come on the show and talk to me now, because I need to now know more about Barflies, and eventually I'll talk to Amy Silverman and know all the things about Barflies. Anyway, the two of them are responsible for the Sense and Sensitivity blog, which is a pretty cool thing if it's something that you need to pay attention to, which is beauty projects for sensitive skin. So she does a lot of stuff. She's extraordinarily funny. She was a pleasure to talk to, and I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way of that conversation and see you on the other side of it.
Cool.
I've talked to Jason so much, and I think we've only ever talked like very briefly, once or twice maybe. And
yeah.
I was like, I'm done talking to Jason. It's time to talk to Becky.
Talk to a real one.
Exactly. Yeah. I was joking with him about that the other day. I just saw him at Nels Klein on Thursday.
Nice.
That was. It's doing this long enough now. I find I will bump into people just about everywhere. It's an odd phenomenon, something that almost 4 years in, I'm still not used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
What were you up to today before coming on?
Not a whole lot. Today has been pretty mellow.
Yeah.
Dicking around on my phone. One of my favorite things to do.
A favorite, usually that's what my go-to will be as soon as I say I got to get all this stuff done. Twitter.
Right.
And then then it's over for a while. But yeah, I mean, you've got to be pretty insanely busy with a title like features editor. That sounds like it comes with a lot of stuff to do.
It super does. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty new job for me. This week was literally my third week in that role. So I'm still feeling it out, still learning, still getting to know the team. But yeah, so far so good. So busy.
I was going to say, if nobody has seen I saw your staff picture on Twitter. If nobody's seen that, it looks like you're about to take somebody out.
Yeah. So I just discovered that was on the website yesterday. It's on, like you said, on the staff directory page of azcentral.com. And I look like I'm about to go off. I was showing it to a friend yesterday and they were like, you know what, actually, that's perfect. You shouldn't be smiling in that photo. This is much more fitting. So it works. I didn't pick it.
It looks like you're not going to take any shit. So.
I mean, accurate. So
there you go.
There you go.
That's that's all jumping ahead. So let's sort of, I don't know, maybe find some sort of beginning are you a native Phoenix person?
I'm not. I'm originally from Milwaukee and I grew up outside of Nashville. But I went to high school here. I went to college here. So native-ish, but not really.
Long enough.
Long enough.
There's a lot of, even though you mentioned it's by way of Nashville, there are a lot of transplants here from the Midwest, it seems. A lot of people from Chicago, a lot of people from Milwaukee, and
Yep. Madison. We're just here to drink the beer, man.
Is that why there are so many microbreweries?
Actually, maybe that could be a really interesting trend piece. Thank you.
That and the proliferation of deep dish pizza.
Well, that is absolutely, we have Chicago to blame for that. I don't care for it personally. It's okay. It's okay.
So are you a pizza fan in general?
I do love pizza.
Yeah. So where do you fall on the spectrum of between deep dish to thin crust? Are you a hand tossed person?
I mean, any pizza isn't that bad. Like, all pizza is vaguely good pizza, right? So I don't know.
If it has sauce and cheese and it's on bread,
like, how bad could it possibly be? Right?
Well, we could order Domino's and find out.
Well, but even Domino's is like, it's acceptable enough in a pinch, in a super wasted pinch. It's fine.
They rebranded and told us that they have better ingredients now, right? I still haven't tried them since then, but I think that Domino's falls into that category of you mentioned wasted pinch that Denny's falls into, right? That you have to be in a certain state of inebriation in order to think that's a good idea. Because
otherwise it's just like, what am I doing? Yeah.
I would say that that Denny's remorse falls right in line with like one night stand remorse or like drunk hooking up remorse. Like, what did I do?
Yeah. And then not quite knowing is, I don't know if it's better or worse, honestly.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, so what ended up bringing you out here and at a high school age?
Oh, my mom's work.
Yeah. What do your parents do? Anything exciting?
So my mom worked in newspapers for a really long time on the advertising side, and then eventually she opened her own business, ran that for a while in Tennessee, and and then got into the HVAC realm and works for a company called Johnson Controls now.
How does that go from newspaper to, or like, is it still doing like technical writing, or what is? I mean,
no, she doesn't write as part of her job. No,
okay.
And she was on the ad side of newspapers, so she wasn't necessarily writing editorial stuff.
That's an interesting I don't know. That's an interesting arc.
Lots of people live a lot of lives, you know.